The delts may not be the biggest muscle group in the upper body, but because of where they're located exactly, it makes them really hard to ignore, which makes them great for looking as big as possible, accentuating your V-taper, along with complementing a lot of your upper body lifts. So right now I'll be sharing with you guys my top 5 best delt tips to take your shoulders to the next level, so let's get into it. If you're curious about why I have a beard in the thumbnail along with the video, it's because I shot this video several weeks ago when gyms were still open. So there's a lot of weight training advice, but due to everything happening with the gyms closing, I decided to keep this in the tank. But I added in a couple of different things in order to do stuff online. So back to the video. My number one tip for getting bigger shoulders is prioritizing vertical presses. And before anybody in the comments says, hey, this is a high incline press, in my eyes, it's still a vertical press for the most part. It's just that your chin's not in the way when you try to press the weight. So as far as my favorite variations are, I like the seated press. You could do seated with more of a narrow grip. You could do seated Swiss bar press. You could even do different kind of bars, so axles and stuff of that nature. And I write 5, 15, 10 because you could do a heavy, light, medium setup. It's kind of what we have in Silverback program. So you could do, for example, seated barbell press for 5 reps beginning of the week. Then in the middle of the week, you could do something for higher reps like a landmine press or a seated dumbbell press like you're seeing in this video right now. And then on the Friday, just to finish off the week, you could have maybe a Swiss bar press or just the same variation of press, or you could even add a pause at the bottom for sets of 10. So that's a really nice guideline to have as far as your presses are concerned. You could still throw in some horizontal presses like some close grip benching, stuff of that nature to complement the other presses, but if you want bigger shoulders, then your vertical presses have to take more priority. Most importantly, don't just throw them in, but actually get stronger at them over time. If you could add a good 50 pounds to your presses, then your shoulders should be a lot bigger. Now, as far as for people at home, which is most people who don't have access to weights, you could still use this time to get much bigger shoulders. It's called doing pike push-ups. Once you get better at those, you could do push-ups against the wall. And then once you get better at that, you could add blocks. You could add maybe some cinder blocks, whatever, to get more range of motion. And this will carry over very well, more than other exercises, to your seated presses and your standing presses overhead. So speaking of lifting overhead, I also want to talk about overhead mobility because a lot of lifters can't properly go overhead without going to hyperextension in the lower back. That's too excessive. So a little bit may be fine, but when it's too excessive, you may have to question what you're doing. So a good alternative or a good thing to complement your training per se would be to have some overhead mobility work. Like you see in the video right now, I'm lying on the ground, knees bent, and I'm making the medicine touch the ball without losing my lower back while keeping my lower back flat against the wall. And this has great transference. Now this is a drill I got from Connor Harris. You can check this out on his Instagram. You basically do an ab wheel. You could do this as your ab work, but you have the medicine ball in between. This is going to keep you more in a tuck position, and it carries over quite well to your overhead pressing mechanics. Now, as far as stretching is concerned, there's a couple different stretches you could do, but a big one that's really bang for your buck is one that stretches out the lats and the tricep long head, like you see in the video right now. My day one subscribers already know what the next tip is. Rear delts, 4 sets of 50, high reps, last set done till failure. So if you've been doing 3 sets of 8 to 12 on your rear delt work with no real success, give this a shot because the high reps are going to spark some new growth, and the rear delts just respond to a lot of higher reps to begin with. So when you're doing your rows and you're doing other back lifts, it's a different story. But if we're talking about isolating, if we're talking about doing face pulls and rear delt work like rear delt flies, I really am a big proponent of high rep work. And as far as the rear delts are concerned, man, like this is the muscle that's going to bridge the gap between your upper back, lats, shoulders, and your triceps. This is what ties in everything, and it gives you that thickness and that width simultaneously. Now, as far as variations I personally like to just put my face in the incline bench so I can't cheat as much. It's more strict. And it's like a seal row bench, but I just use a t-shirt or something, just put my face there, and I like high reps. You could even add pauses as another variation. But what if you don't have access to any weights right now? You just have like a pull-up bar. All you need is a chain and a towel, and I got you covered. You could do body weight face pulls. Still a great exercise to train the rear delts and a little bit of the upper back. And then what if you want to make these harder? You just put your feet more forward. So the more forward the feet could go, then the more you could train the rear delts hard. The more demanding it'll be on the rear delts. Now make sure you have a good chain with a good carabiner and a solid towel so you don't fall down. And shout out to Kale Beck, this is another idea. If you want to know my Q&A with him, check it out too. But the reverse ring fly is also a great lift. Now on to laterals. So my day one subscribers know I'm not really a big advocate of much side delt work. I think that doing a lot of vertical presses along with a lot of rear delt work is going to make a lot of people's delts grow. But with that being said, if you have very lagging delts, if you're very narrow and you want to just bring up your shoulders a bit more, there's nothing wrong with throwing in some lateral raises. I would actually recommend it. It's only like 5-10 minutes out of your week. Just make sure you're not shrugging on it, because that's the biggest mistake I tend to see. So I got this tip from Christin Thibodeau. You just throw bands over your traps, and this will keep your traps a bit more down, a little bit more relaxed, where they can't jump in as much. So I haven't done lateral raises in a very long time because I'm actually pretty content with my shoulders. It's actually my arms I'm trying to bring up. That's a completely different topic altogether. But if I were to do lateral raises, if I wanted to bring my shoulders up, or if somebody wanted to bring their shoulders up, I would also recommend lateral raises with 6-second eccentrics. I think those are effective as well. Now, as far as front raises, I'm not really that big on them either. But once again, if you have very lagging shoulders and you're doing all your presses, you're doing your rear delt work, and they're still not growing as fast as you want, there's nothing wrong with throwing some front raises in. But with that being said, a lot of lifters, they tend to cheat these a lot. They tend to lean back. And I'd recommend just doing them against a wall, strongman style, like they're doing the front raise hold. So this will take a lot of the body English out of it. But don't expect miracles from these two lifts either. So if you're a novice, I'd probably recommend something like a face pull. But if you're past that phase and you're lazy on your shoulder isolation work, all you have to do is just superset them all. So you could superset rear delts, lateral raises, and front raises. Alright, so there you guys have it. Hope you got some value out of today's episode. Let me know in the comment section below what you learned and what you're going to start incorporating to take your delts to the next level in 2020. So if you're also looking for a detailed guide, how to look as wide as possible, as thick as possible, check out Silverback. It emphasizes the back, shoulders, and triceps. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next episode.